So if you go to that website that I gave you, it's going to tell about our sample program. And the sample program is it's called the X39 Experience, and it's the free 24-hour X39 Experience. You said 24 hours? That's one patch. You know, what's going to happen in one patch? Let me tell you what's going to happen with one patch. A lot of people get an experience, a health experience they can feel within the first 24 hours. But they have to know how they feel first. You know, it's like there's a health quiz on the back, and if they go through it and rate everything first, and you're going to get them to do this because I'm going to share how to do this in a minute, but I'm just going to give you the elements of what it is right quick. And it's a health quiz on the back. You get them to go to it. It says before your 24-hour experience. It says, you know, it's just before. Write down all these things and grade it. And they got some areas to add to it if it's not there for them. But we know that it's better sleep, more energy, and rapid pain relief are the three biggies. You know, but, you know, they may be looking for a lot of other things, but, you know, or some different things. But the thing is if they don't write it down, and they don't grade it, tomorrow after, when they start, let's say they started their 24-hour experience today, tomorrow they won't even realize that it went away. Because if I've got, think about this, we've all had, this is one thing that everybody's had, some kind of back pain. And, you know, if I had a low-level back pain, let's say it's a number 2, number 10, you need to be, you know, going to the hospital or something, you know, doing something very serious. But number 2, you know, just kind of, you know, it's just a kind of aggravating. But, you know, hey, I've just kind of learned to live with it. It pops up sometimes, it goes away sometimes, whatever, you know, but it's pretty constant at a number 2. If I don't write it down tomorrow, I won't inspect, you know, myself again, because I want them to hyper-focus on their health for 24 hours, hyper-focus for 24 hours. Try getting people to hyper-focus on anything for 3 days, 5 days, and 7 days, which is the number of days we tried sampling. And it was hard to keep people focused. But they can do it for 1 day. 1 day, hyper-focus on your health. So they write it down. The next day, they change the scores. Maybe the next day they say, hey, wow, I had number 2 back pain. I can't feel anything. That's a 0. Wow, last night I slept like a baby, you know, and really mine was about a 5, you know, it was like not so good, you know, whatever it was. But you're going to share with them, because on the flyer, when you give them the sample, you're going to share with them that as soon as they receive it, to call you, that you have some tips you want to give them before they get started with the sample. Now, you also want to just kind of guess when they'll get it and call. Put it on your calendar to call, because they may not call you back. But you tell them that, and I write a little note and attach it to the flyer, just a little post note. Call me when you get this. I have some tips for you before you start. That's it. And I put that on the flyer as a post note. I don't write a letter. I don't get into details and everything. I just put that on there. And the flyer looks like a magazine ad, a full-page magazine ad for the product. It's really cool. We've spent a lot of time on it. Had some good graphic artists. And, you know, we condensed it into the information we thought was necessary and no more than we felt was necessary. But one of the things on there that you want to go over with them is that there's hundreds of millions of genetic differences that make you, and me, and Francis, and, you know, and all this, you know. So, you know, all the people in the world. So we're all a little bit different, aren't we? So we all react to things differently. So, but a lot of people get a health experience they can feel within 24 hours if they focus, if they're focused on what's going on. Then the ones that didn't say, well, gosh, if they don't get a health experience, they're not going to get started. You say, this is an extraordinary experience. What you tell them is you might get a health experience you can feel, but like so, there's hundreds of millions of genetic differences. You may need an extended 30-day X39 experience. We'll see, but let's focus on the 24 hours first, because a lot of people, like I say, get a health experience they can feel. But you can tell them, everybody, here's what you want to tell them. Everybody in those 24 hours, everybody gets to experience the patch. You get to see what it really looks like. Because what did you think it looked like before you saw it? Round Band-Aid? When I think of a Band-Aid, I think of ripping it off every night. That wasn't a good experience. So bottom line, they get to experience that, what it looks like, how it feels when it's on. It doesn't itch, it doesn't irritate. Most of us know that most people forget they have it on. And quite frankly, I tell the people when they get this to set their timer on their clock for 12 hours because they'll forget to take it off. So I want them to do it just like it said. I want them to do it in the daytime, not at night, because like David says, I can't tell you what happens, if you do it that way, because our clinical trials were during the day, and it was for 12 hours. Get them to do it the right way. I know people want to do it crazy different ways, but just get them to do it the correct way. Per the instructions, follow the instructions. That's what you would do, if you had a prescription drug, wouldn't it? You wouldn't say, hey, it says take 2, I think I'll take 10. That's not a good idea, So anyway, get them to do it the correct way. So number one, they're going to see what it looked like. They're going to know what it feels like on their skin. It didn't itch or irritate. It stayed on. It didn't pop off. If they went and worked out, it still stayed on. If they showered after they worked out, it still stayed on. And in the evening, when they were ready to take it off, it just peeled right off. No problem at all. So they got that experience. The other experience is when you take a prescription, and this is an analogy, don't tell them, but this necessarily, I just want to get it across to you. But, you could use it if you wanted to. But bottom line, what happens with the first pill that you take? Does it start working in your system? Absolutely does, doesn't it? So the first patch is starting to activate their stem cells and reset them to a healthier, younger state. So they're getting biologically younger, and they're starting the whole prevention measure of not having a health car wreck and all these other things. Even if they didn't get a health experience they could feel in that 24 hours, the process had started. And as David shares with all of us, that need to be on the product for 90 days. You really need to be on the product for 90 days, and you want to tell them that. So you went through that website. You went through the flyer with them. All you got to do, the tips, is nothing but rolling through that flyer with them and getting them to do the quiz. And here's one thing you might want to tell them, that this is, while you're giving them the tips, and this is on the x39health.com website. It's just pretty much verbatim the way I'll say it. But you want to tell them that this is, now that they've seen it it's a patch, it's non-transdermal, it doesn't have anything in it, no drugs, all that. You told them that, and they're going to say, how's it work? Again, maybe. Tell them that story, that sun story. Go to that x39health.com and memorize that sun story, because I tell people that have PhDs or high school education, I tell them the same thing. I tell them the son story. I had somebody the other week say, well, I do have 2 PhDs. And I said, okay, cool. But it's the same story. It's like when you go out in the sun, we already know this, the sun causes your body it signals your body to increase vitamin D production. Nobody argues with that. We've heard it all our life. And we don't need the sun. The patch does not need the sun. X39 patch does not need the sun. I tell them, we don't need the sun because we're 98.6 degrees on a cold day. And so we're emitting light and heat, and we don't need the sun, and the heat comes out, bounces off that patch, bounces back into the body, and it doesn't signal the body to increase vitamin D. It signals the body to increase the copper peptide. And that has been proven to increase stem cell activity. It's that simple and that complex. And it's science fact, not science fiction. So I want to wrap it up here. You've shared, you've sampled. Now the only thing is sign up. And what you want to make sure when you sample and you're on the phone with them, sharing those tips, is when are you going to do this? When are you going to do your 24-hour experience? And maybe you're on the phone with them today and they say, well, I won't have time to do this until Friday. So, okay, you're going to do it Friday. You're going to put it on your calendar. You're going to do it Friday. Great. I'm going to call you back Saturday because I want to hear the amazing results you had. And, of course, they have amazing results with, the experience, their health, whatever. They have an amazing result when you call them back. If you approach this correctly, because I've signed up people at the diamond level that did not have a health result, but they understood, they dug down in it, and they understood that, all they needed to be is a longer time period. Let's say you get them back on the phone. Now you sampled, you shared strong, you sampled strong, so you set it up. If you don't do those other two, and we got some background noise, somebody there, *6, please. But we got some, if you don't do the first two correctly, if you don't share correctly, the sampling will be hard. And if you don't share correctly, and you don't sample correctly, really the end's going to be impossible. But if you do those two things strong, then the last part of signing up is just going to be easy because all I do is ask them after they've had the health experience they can feel, or they've had the 24-hour experience with the patch and they've understood it better and they want to go forward. I just asked them, what would you like to do? Would you like to sample the product for another 30 days, or would you like to sample the business for another 30 days? And if they say product, then, if they're married, and, I say, silver packs really, a minimum, that I would say. And by the way, you can get your feet wet sampling a little bit too, because you'll have 30 samples, and it only takes one sample. And maybe you can say, hey, I'll send you, because you've ordered these flyers. They cost anywhere from 25 to 50 cents per flyer, by the way, depending on how many you order. But I say, I'll send you 30 of the flyers. So if you'll sample, if you plan to sample, and go ahead and get your business started. Or if they're going to come in at the diamond level, I do the same thing. Send them 30 of the flyers and whatever else you want to do for them, and then go ahead and get it rolling. With a diamond level, I just made $500, so I just send them a whole sleeve of X39 and say, if I do that and I send you the flyers, will you get started as soon as it gets there? They don't have to wait on their order. It's whatever you want to do. But at least send them flyers so they can go ahead and get started. Go ahead and prime the pump. So you can see there, that's it. It's really share, sample, sign up, repeat, and doing it over and over. And Francis, I'm going to hand it back over to you and let me know what you want me to do next, or have I run out of time for
Ron, I tell you what, that was just artwork there, mister. You can see why you've done so well. You've made it so simple and so basic that your teams are flourishing because of your great leadership. So I want to thank you for being on this. And I'd like to reschedule you for another time, because I think you're probably really good at handling objections. And I think that's what the problem is. People are inexperienced and they get on, calls, and people, make all sorts of, they object and they don't really know what to say. And I think that you would be a really good person to learn from. So,
when you're signing up, what's the other thing that I left out? What's one very important thing that I left out there? And that is introduce them to the person that you're working with. You can say your friend here in the business and everything. Don't say your upline or any terms that they won't know. It's kind of like, me taking you for a plane ride, and not that I fly yet, but I'm going in that direction, and me pointing out some things, and, or I scuba dive, and I give you all these words, that, they're buzzwords to me. They're easy. They roll out the tongue, but, you're going to say, what? What is an upline? What is this? Don't use those words. It's like, hey, I'm working at home. That's certainly in vogue right now. And I've got a business associate I'm working with, and I'd like to introduce you to them. And let them answer the questions. Let them handle the objections. And by doing so, you'll learn. But I'd love to reschedule and do some of that, kind of a three-way call kind of thing, and throw some objections at me. Now, we're going to make it, I told David, I said, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. You got me. I'm here to 100 years old. You keep keeping me young. And he said, I think you're thinking a little low there. I said, well, 120, 140. So we're going to all be young for a long time.
You have a great vibe, and that is one of the things that attracts people to other people. And we can see why you're a great recruiter and why you're a great trainer. So, folks, let's give Ron a silent applause here. And only dogs will be able to hear the applause right now. But anyway, thanks again, Ron, and we'll be in touch. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks very much.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody, for joining the call. Bye-bye now.